Welcome back to Conscious Beings. Welcome back to Conscious Patterns. So today I want to talk about how INFJs see through motivations. This is something that is on a lot of personality type descriptions. If you take one of those basic tests, it'll give you a description of the INFJ and it says, oh, they're very friendly. They like to puzzle things out and they're often able to see through people's motivations. And you're like, whoa, hold on. Like, go back a second. Did you say that they're able to see through people's motivations? So if this is based on the cognitive functions, why is this listed on so many personality type descriptions for the INFJ? How do the cognitive functions make them good at this? So that's what we want to explain. Now, this is going to be different than how INFJs tell a lie. I did a video on that. It's kind of an older one, so don't be too harsh on it.
It's an older code, sir, but it checks out.
So motivation is different than a lie, right? The lie is you trying to hide information, while a motivation is looking behind what the action is, what the behavior is, what is being said, to understand and say, this is the outcome you're trying to elicit, you're trying to produce. So how does the INFJ's cognitive functions give them that insight? And again, I want to make this super real world. I'm going to give you a very specific example. So for the INFJ, whenever they're thinking about how they're going to interact with somebody, they're often thinking about how that is going to affect the person. So we're talking about NI and FE. As we've said with NI, it is not something that they are trying to do. This is always going on in the background. This is constant with the NI types, the INTJ and the INFJ. But we're going to be talking specifically about the INFJ with NI and FE. So for the INFJ, if they're going to go ask somebody a question, before they ever go ask that question, they're going to be thinking about how that is going to cascade. What is the chain reaction that is about to happen? So if I go and say it this way, they might take it this way. So I have to be very careful about how I phrase it. And so they're rehearsing it. And again, this isn't really something that they're focused on doing. This is happening all the time. And they're saying, okay, if I go say it this way, it'll cause them to feel this way. They may in turn not work with me as well, or they might take it this way and go tell this person. And they're looking at this huge chain reaction that's about to happen. So before they ever go talk to that person, they've thought through that scenario many times, right? They've gone over in their head. If I say it this way, if I say it this way, you would be surprised how far in advance INFJs are thinking about what is going to happen. So a really good example of that would be if they meet someone and they're like, this is this kind of person, this is what's probably going to happen, and one day they're probably going to say something like this to me. This is so funny because a lot of times if you have an INFJ and they have a quick witty comeback that is kind of sharp and biting and really shocks people, right? They're like, whoa, I didn't know you had that in you. It was so unexpected how quickly they just came up with that, and man, did they put that person in their place. That INFJ knew that was going to happen when they met the person. They're like, this is going to happen. I should be ready. Let me think through my comeback to that. And this could be 6 months in the future when it happens. This could be 2 years. And they have been rehearsing that moment for when it comes. Every time they meet them, they're like, I'm waiting for when you do it. And when it finally comes, everybody's shocked and is like, hey, that was really good when you said that. They've been rehearsing that and knowing that's coming for a very long time. That's how far in advance INFJs are thinking about their interactions and how things are going to play out. That's how they know that that person over there, when they went and said this, that it was going to cause this issue. And they're like, you know what? I'm not involved in that. But that person just completely blew up their whole game. And now all their coworkers are going to see them as suspicious, even though it wasn't even necessarily something that was meant to hurt anybody. They're like, you don't know what you just did. And INFJs see this very clearly. Why do they see it very clearly? It's because they have rehearsed all those things in their head so many times and played out those scenarios so many times. This is like somebody who is a football player, or somebody who's does something for a living that's physical, and when you come and do that and you come onto the field, they're like, your form is bad. I can see what you're trying to do. This is what's going to happen. You're going to end up hurting yourself. So let me try and show you the right form, because they've rehearsed it so many times. They can just look at somebody and see it's wrong. Now, INFJs have rehearsed those scenarios in their head so many times that when somebody else does it, they're like, I see exactly what you're trying to do, because that's what I would have done. Or actually, what you're doing is so amateur. I can see right through you. I get what you're trying to do, because you know what? That's the way I would have done it the first time, but I would have realized that that was going to cause a problem. And so I actually would have changed that up. And they're looking at that in that moment. They're watching that person and dissecting them and like, wow, this is so bad. I can see what you're trying to do because I've lived that scenario 100 times in my head, and I wouldn't have done it this way. So it's almost like having many lived experiences, and they've done it so many times. They're like, it's obvious what you're doing. You guys don't even know how many times INFJs are playing these scenarios in their head constantly. It's almost a lived experience that they've had hundreds, thousands, millions of times in their head. And so when someone else does it, they're like, that was bad. You should have thought that through. Now, if you want to go back and watch How INFJs Tell a Lie, you can watch that one, or you should watch this one, but you should definitely click the like and subscribe so you can continue to learn more. Thanks for stopping by.